Imagine being in the Overwatch League Grand Final and doing this. Playing Bastion. I mean, okay, Bastion's pretty good. And this, I didn't even know this was possible. I was like, what? I'm in the stadium. I'm like, what am I seeing? What is going on? This is just obscene. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Josh is going to break down this game in massive detail. This is one of the matches taken from the Grand Finals. The Shock versus the Titans. The most hype match of the year so far. Literally $1 million on the line. Let's do it. It's going to be awesome. Josh, take it away, my man. Oh, yes.
Oh, it's all over. The Overwatch League is done, ladies and gents. If you haven't watched the finals, go watch them. There will be spoilers ahead. I mean, this is a post-finals analysis. What were you expecting? So, yeah, be ready for that. But otherwise, what a show from the Shock. Oh, my word. They put on a clinic, and they did it with this bad boy here. Bastion came in to the fore and absolutely destroyed in the Grand Finals. And we're going to talk all about how the Shock did it. Now, first things first, we're going to, of course, take a look at the team comps. You might have noticed that Architect started out on the Widowmaker in the spawn, peeking up on the high grounds. He wanted to see if there was any sniff of a pharmacy, because if there was, well, Shock might have to change their game plan slightly. But there's no sign of it. No, Titans, they're just playing the meta comp right now. Like, if you had to ask me what is the standard composition, this is it. The Reaper plus Doomfist. Reaper very, very good. Doomfist very good at getting that early kill. Reaper very good at cleaning up. You got the double barrier. I mean, what, we expected a Winston? I mean, yeah, it's going to be double barrier all the way. And then you have the Moira plus the Lucio. Huge amount of healing out, but very strong ultimates, all very, very useful. This is about as meta can be, and it's going to struggle horrendously against one shooty boy. Now, let's talk about the Shock. They have this Mei plus Bastion, and this is going to be the crux of their strategy. Of course, they've got the double barrier, and they have this combo of Ana and Baptiste. This is a very, very powerful mix-up because it gives them a very strong ult combo. The Amp Matrix and the Nano Boost, they both actually stack. So Bastion not only is going to be relatively unkillable thanks to the Nano Boost, he's also going to do, well, insane amounts of damage because he's nanoed and then he's shooting through an Amp Matrix, which is doubling that, and yeah, you cannot fight that. You just cannot fight that. Shock are going to put that to work. And while we're in this overhead view, I really want to highlight one or two things with the positioning here. Titans are playing relatively safe. They have to expect anything, right? They don't know what the Shock are going to run out with, so they're playing in these safe positions here, playing this corner back here, instead of playing closer to the choke point where they kind of need to be to deal with this Bastion. Xiaominsu is ready on the flank. You've got the Sigma sort of peeking around on the one side as well, just looking to maybe get some cheeky hits in, get some early damage going, build up that ultimate nice and early. The problem the Titans face is that this Doomfist is kind of lost in this composition against this team comp. He has to try and kill the backline, but the backline's going to be nice and safe and tucked in with the rest of the team, and he can't really go for anybody else. Doomfist can't really deal with these other threats because they're too tanky, too durable, and with his healing lineup, he's just not going to be able to kill through them. He can maybe knock him around a bit, but without getting some very quick ultimates, he's not going to be able to do much about it. And so as they push in, the Shock know exactly what they need to do. They need to get Bastion on the point, and so what do? Well, Rascal goes in, flushes out Xiaominsu, forces that Wraith form, blocks him off, and now Titans need to run and scramble to try and protect Xiaominsu. They got to keep him alive, but that pulls them out of position. This means, well, Architect can go where he wants. It also leaves Xiaominsu in a really awkward place. Titans try and chase down the Mei. It's not going to work. Mei's too safe. Xiaominsu goes for a greedy teleport that just ain't going to cut it. Joy Herbin, naturally, he's probably practiced this exact timing, right? He's probably got a mate to go into some custom games with him, teleport around a bit as Reaper, and get the timing bang on to land that rock as Xiaominsu comes out of that teleport. And it's just a disastrous first hold for the Titans at the moment. They are just having a nightmare. Twilight got a kill, he killed Rascal. That's going to be the only kill we're going to see for a good while coming out of the Titans. And what's happening now is, well, they're just trying to stall out on the point, stagger out on the point, but the Titans are in a lot of trouble. Xiaominsu dying there is actually a very big deal because there's a very narrow choke point coming up. They got to try and lock them down at this choke point, right? Bastion doesn't like corners, and especially when he's on the payload, if he's being pushed around a corner, it makes him very vulnerable. Janu almost has his ultimate. If he can get that charged up, no problem. Well, yeah, they just lift him up and maybe kill the Bastion, maybe kill some of the supports in the backline. They could do so much, but the Shock don't give him a moment to breathe, and it says a lot that Rascal alone can actually go and deal with Janu like this. And this rushed setup might be actually one of the big problems that the Titans face right here. Janu gets literally pretty much soloed by a Rascal. Coalescence has to be committed to it. He gets lifted, and Joy Herbin, well, he's ready, and he fires, and gone. Janu is out. He is done and dusted, and that is the primary threat gone. Meanwhile, you've got to deal with this. And they get in the main lift, but because they're scrambling to get into position, because Somin Su's trying to get to anywhere he can, all they've done is lift the Bastion, but there's nothing there that can actually kill him. Architect is having the time of his life right now. It's a shooting gallery for him, while Xiaomin Su tries to get into the backline, tries to find something to fight. They can't do it, and now they're just throwing themselves onto the point. They know that it's pretty much over. Maybe they can fish out a kill here. Maybe they can kill Architect. I mean, they almost get him, but it's just not going to be enough. And now the Shock are really sitting pretty. If you notice, they've got 4 ultimates, and those are 4 very good ultimates. The only sort of stinker there, I suppose, is the tank form, but this is the point where Bastion needs that mobility, right? He needs to be able to move around a bit here because there's a lot of sight lines, there's a lot of, well, sightline blockers, I suppose, there's a lot of corners. Being able to move here, going to be very useful. The rest of those ults, all Golden Titans, well, they do still have Jianu's ult, and I'm sure the Shock know it. I'm sure they've been tracking the ults used, and they've realized, well, Jianu doesn't have an ult. The moment Jianu steps out, the Shock engage on him. They threw everything at him. All 4 ultimates get used pretty much immediately. Jianu gets lifted, frozen, and killed straight away before he can even present a remote threat. Xiaomin he tries to use the Death Blossom, just get slept straight away. They just deal with it immaculately. The Shock knew that that was an important fight. They knew that that was going to be a tough one, and they completely dominate the Titans, who just look unprepared. The Titans are just like scrambling to get into position, scrambling to get ahead of this Bastion and trying to shut him down, and it almost feels like the Titans are frustrated. Like, this hold here, this attempt at a hold here, just speaks of frustration to me, where they're just like, let's just try and stall the payload where possible. But the key to dealing with Bastion to me has always been, well, you got to get ahead of him. You got to be like prepared and ready for him, and setting up in locations where the Bastion can't easily deal with you. When you're all set up and good to go, it's not that difficult to like crowbar him off the point. But the issue is, now that they've all died there, well, Architect can just move off the payload, get set up in this safe area up here where he can't really be contested all that easily. It's going to be very difficult for the Titans to get him out of this position. And look, the Shock have that Amp Matrix and that Nano Boost combo available to them. So you're going to be walking into insane volumes of DPS. It's like 400 plus DPS that the Bastion can put out at this point. The one saving grace for the Titans, of course, is they have that Blizzard available to them. But Violet, he's got something to say about that. He slows it down with a Sleep Dart. Eventually, the Blizzard comes out, but by the time it does, Architect has killed 3 people. He's killed half your team already. They do get the freeze on. Xiaomin Su does get a Nano Boost, does start getting some kills, but by that time, the fight's already over. They get 2 kills out of it, but, well, the rest of the team's dead. Xiaomin Su stun-locked, killed, done, and dusted. Architect has to come back from spawn, take him a little while, but Shock, they're still sitting pretty. They've got the Blizzard available to them. They've got this wombo combo of these 4 ultimates available to them. They've been perfectly cycling the ultimates, and they're going to have the Bastion back any moment now. They don't actually have to push that far. They just have to wear down the enemy team. Once they're ready to push, well, yeah, they're going to go for it straight away. Again, all the pressure, the damage amp going on to Architect from the bongo. Xiaomin Su, he's trying to go for like a clever flank. He's trying to get around the backline, but by the time he's involved, he's just not going to be there. And Architect, he doesn't care about a Reaper. He's swinging from the chandeliers. He's got no issues at all with the enemy team. They can't do anything about him. And once he's set up here, if you don't have anything to contest him, he's going to be difficult to protect up here. But because Titans are just scrambling to get onto the payload, they're just going to die over and over and over again. Great job by Twilight to get the Sleep Dart. You know, that is one of the problems of being on the Chandelier. It's a little bit memey, but it's certainly a threat that you can't handle very easily. And once you're in this point, yeah, the Bastion is just going to clean up. 3 eliminations in total provided by the Titans there. They killed 3 of the Shock, and 2 of them were in that last fight towards the end with like the Nano Reaper. It was a stomp. It was one hell of a push going through in this first half. And as we move towards the second half here, I've seen a lot of discussion on this series about, like, why did Xiaomin Su stay on the Reaper? Why not play Junkrat? Why not play Pharah? Why not play all these other heroes? And honestly, the Reaper is what gives them the best chance to win. If you've been watching carefully, the Titans play very specifically around this Nano Boost Reaper combo. They just want to Nano Boost the Reaper, Nano Boost Xiaomin Su, get him into the back line, and he can clean up. This is a huge amount of damage. It's very difficult to deal with as well, because he's got all that self-healing, combined with all his cooldowns, combined with the tankiness of the Nano Boost. It's going to be very difficult. The only other option I can really see that's feasible, that doesn't rely on trying to bash down Double Barrier, which just isn't going to happen, would be running a Bastion themselves, and Korean teams tend not to be a big fan of doing that. It's just something that I've noticed over time. Koreans, they tend not to be the biggest fan of just running Bastion outright. They seem to, I don't know, almost look down on it, I suppose, while more mixed teams or Western rosters seem much more keen on the Bastion. Like, I'm harkening back to like Junkertown days. Pirate Ship was very common, for example, and you generally see these teams avoid playing the Bastion. Now then, Shock playing a comp that we've seen before, right? If you watched the Bastion video before, you might recognize the Pharmacy combined with the Bastion here. What this does is massively limits what the Titans can do in terms of positioning. They are stuck inside this building. They cannot leave it because the Bastion's looking over the top. They've got a Pharmacy fishing around looking for damage here and there, but that kill on Smurf is absolutely huge. One of the barriers has been removed. Now Choi Hyobin has to do all of the tanking. That's a little bit of a big ask for a Sigma just to try and do alone. Sure, Rascal gets the barrage, but by the time he does, this Reaper has taken over the game, and this is kind of what the Reaper is here to do. Once he can get into the backline and start causing problems, if you don't have a good way of slowing him down, of stunning him up, or just, you know, freezing him, he's just going to start killing absolutely everybody, especially when combined with Twilight. But the Shock, you notice they don't go in for like a greedy recontest like what the Titans were trying to do. They instead just back off, set themselves up to try and hold this gate. Architect swapped off the Bastion, now on to the Doomfist, but the Shock are ready and waiting to try and hold on this gate. The Titans, they've built up a lot of ultis, they're ready to go, but this gateway has oftentimes been a problem. Rascal, very good with his mobility, very good with his movement, traps Xiaominsu, they catch him out, fish him down, and then kill him, and once he's gone, Shock even commit the Baptiste ult here. Brilliant Mei wall out of Haxel. This is something that I've noticed Mei's been very good at doing, by the way, which is when Baptiste uses the Ant Matrix, Mei's can put their wall up and block it, and it's brilliant to behold because it just completely denies the power of that ultimate. It's no problem for Titans though, they got tons of ultis, right? As long as they don't waste them, it shouldn't be too big of a problem. Oh dear, just right into Choi Hyobin's wetting hand. Oh dearie me. Doesn't matter too much, Xiaominsu gets into the backline, has that nano boost. Death Blossom doesn't get much, but honestly, it doesn't need to. It's one of those ultis that it doesn't have to get a huge amount of value. You see that the rock landed, like, they got the stun on him, but it doesn't matter. He's too durable, too strong. He managed to get rid of the immortality field and then can just clean up with all that damage from those Hellfire shotguns. Architect swaps to the Bastion, and straight away Haxel goes, ha! Oh, they've got Bastion again. Well, let's get the Mei back out. He swapped to Doomfist for a little while, but no, straight away it notices, hey, Bastion's back. We need the Mei to deal with this. And Titans look much more prepared here to deal with it here on the defense. They set up in a very intelligent way. They keep Haxel on the point. Meanwhile, the rest of the team decide to go underneath. They know that they have Janu's ult, they know they have Sound Barrier, and as long as they can split the Bastion off, it's no major problem. The big issue here is that, well, if Rascal's a bit of a cheeky sod, and he likes to be that, then they could have a lot of problems getting into position. But that lift that Janu never got off on the first half, managed to get it off now, and then they managed to get the Mei wall to split it off. Architect, he even realizes, we're going to go to Architect's perspective, during all of this fight, where he even realizes that the Mei wall actually gets up and causes problems for it. And instead of shooting at the enemy team, he realizes that the biggest threat here is actually this Mei wall. He's got to get rid of it, got to get it out of the way, because otherwise the healers can't get to him. He's split off, he's cut off. They normally can just cut through that with all the damage the Bastion does. They can't quite manage to do so. Bastion goes down. Once the Bastion is down, the linchpin of the team's gone. You got the Reaper in the back line, you got the Mei inside your team, and oh dearie me, everything is coming up Titans. Now you might think, okay, well the Shock is still kind of okay, right? This is going to be a good place for Bastion. They got that wombo combo of the Nano Boost and the Ant Matrix up and running, but there's something about Sigma that doesn't get talked about enough, right? And that's these bad boys here. That's this beautiful sight all the way down here. And what it isn't is the feet. No, it's the fact that his feet don't touch the floor. What it means is that he's silent. But he's silent but deadly. Moth has no idea what's coming for him. He just gets completely annihilated by the combo. Because you can flank with Sigma. It's completely safe. He's got so many defensive abilities. He's got so many ways of surviving on his own that, yeah, you can absolutely send him on a flank to go and assassinate someone in the back line. And as part of his power is that he can just take people down. Now you got the Reaper back here, there's no immortality field, you got Sigma causing problems, being a threat, you've got one of the healers down and dead. They can try and get a lot done. They do eventually kill Janu, but Rascal has to give up his life for it. The Mei is gone. They do get rid of the Reaper eventually, but they're still losing ground to this threat that just appeared in the backline seemingly out of nowhere. And the cool thing for the Titans is, well, yeah, sure, they didn't manage to get it all the way, right? The Architect still exists, but they got the payload around the first corner, and they can just kind of do this again, right? They can just keep doing this over and over and over and make the Shock really uncomfortable. They think they're safe up here, they think they're fine up here, but as long as Janu can get around into the backline, it's going to cause some real problems, and they're doing just that, right? The Ant Matrix comes up, but he can't shoot at anyone. He's got no one to look at. He can't do, and yeah, it's a lot of damage, but by the time it's done, well, yeah, Titans already in position in their backline. You can see that Jano's just causing tons of problems here, covering for the Mei, covering for the Reaper. He can just cause so many issues on this flank. It's so sneaky, it's so dastardly, it's so difficult to deal with that they even deploy the Blizzard back here to try and clear it out. Xiaomitsu just dances around outside of it, and Killfeed is nothing but blue. The Shock's at a blistering time, but Titans, yeah, they matched it. They matched it with style, and it's very, very nice to see. But because the Titans were 2 seconds slower, well, it's their turn to attack. Again, the Shock, once again, going for this Bastion and Pharmacy defense. That's what they want to do. That's what they've enjoyed in the playoffs, and that's what they're going to absolutely enjoy here. Meanwhile, Titans sticking with the tried and tested. They want to try and do the same thing again. And I actually really like it when we get to see teams do this, when we get to see like a repeat, because I want to see what they've learned, what they've adapted to. You see Xiaomitsu just peeking out, maybe looking for a cheeky snipe, not going to get it, realizes very quickly that Rascal's going to play very carefully while that Widow is out, and then goes back to the Reaper. They've got to go back with their team. But the Titans do make a big adaptation here. They actually don't have Twilight follow. He goes off and hides in the computer shop on his own. This is an intentional choice by Twilight to split him off, because here he can actually cause some problems. He's somewhat safe inside that shop, but he can actually pressure the Pharmacy out a bit, push them back ever so slightly, and I would not recommend doing this on ladder, but because Twilight is a world-class Ana player, is a world-class sniper, he almost does it here, gets a beauty of a grenade, kills the fire, but she just gets a rocket off, and because she just gets a rocket off, Moth can get the res, the Pharmacies come back, and, well, the Titans are struggling. Once again, they've fallen behind, they've lost Janu, they've lost a bunch of people, and at this point, this just feels almost gratuitous. And what really baffles me here, and what really confused me when I was watching this, was the Titans, they're still fighting, and yeah, they almost get Choi Hyobin, that would have been a nice pick, but here they're still using like survivability cooldowns. Like Rascal's still surviving. It's like the fight's over, lads. You're done. Like, reset as quickly as possible. Come on, chop chop. You've got to get ready for the next fight. You don't have much time, right? You started this with 3 minutes. You've got a minute and a half left to go. You got to get moving. Janu actually does a weird thing as well. He swaps to this Diva to try and get back, to try and help. And it just costs him all the ult charge he had. Admittedly, he didn't have much, but it still does cost him ult charge. And when you've only got 3 minutes, that really does matter. We're going to see it again, by the way. Twilight going to just stay on this flank, cause problems for the Pharmacy as much as he can. Also, maybe force a little bit of difference in positioning on the barriers as well. Twilight, he's just going to try and cause problems where possible. They have the nano boost ready for them, and again, this has been the wombo combo that they've been really trying to play around. This is sort of the win condition they've been aiming for, but it just comes out way too early. Like, by the time Xiaomitsu's there, half the nano boost is already over, and again, we're going back to this problem that the Titans seem to have, where it just felt rushed. Brilliant boop coming out of Slime to knock him down, but it's just moving into too many problems. It's just moving into too much damage. It's moving into a prepared Shock team that know their win conditions, know what they can do, and the Pharmacy alone, if you've lost half your team, a Pharmacy is going to be a big problem, and especially if you don't have hit scan, you're not going to be able to clear it out very well. And so this gives enough time for Architect to set back up again. Titans blew so many ultimates there. They blew the Blizzard, crucially, as well, which is such a powerful ult for clearing up Bastions. This next fight, it's just kind of a given at this point. If you are cheering for the Titans, like I expected the Titans to do a lot better in this series. I was going, yeah, no, the Titans could really, really take this. Nope. At this point, you kind of just know that it's all over. Right, you know that they don't have the ult economy to survive this. You know they don't have the resources to take this fight. And as, you know, Overwatch players, you've got to kind of just accept the fact that sometimes the economy isn't in your favor. There are moments where you can break out of that, where you can outplay it. But against these ults, it just ain't going to happen. But it's not the end of the world. The Titans did get 55% on the point. They did get some progress, so it's not going to be a tie. No matter what happens, the Titans can win from this position, and you can see that they've changed their positioning up. If you remember, back at the start they played quite far back, but now they're expecting the Bastion. They're going to try and hold the choke point and hold the corner. This is going to cause a lot more problems because, well, they can't just get the Bastion through the choke point willy-nilly. They're really going to have to fight to get through this difficult first choke. They can't just send the Mei in to flush out Xiaomitsu and take all the ground they want. Instead, they're stuck fighting in this small room. They can be controlled, they can be slowed down, they can be really hampered in their progress. Another big adaptation as well is that Violet has swapped to this Moira. He's going to get this ultimate extremely quickly because, yeah, they're fighting in a small room, and Moira loves healing people in a small room. It's one hell of a nade out of Twilight, though, and that's going to blow this wide open for the Titans. The big thing here for the Titans is just to continually pressure and pressure and pressure, get damage where possible, get Xiaominsu continually making this loop, right? He can do this very, very safely. Teleport up to the high ground, teleport up to the bridge, drop down, go in around the back, get a kill, get a bunch of damage done, force out some cooldowns, and then Wraith form back out to safety, get back to his team, and then teleport all over again, right? It's just a very simple loop that he's going to do over and over while he tries to fish out a couple of kills. That said, Shock do eventually start breaking their way forward, right? They've started marching their way in, and now they're starting to lose ground. Titans might be in a spot of trouble here. If this Bastion gets set up, it's going to be a real problem. Again, we see this nano boost on the Reaper, but now they have control. And again, these nano boosts seem to just be coming out almost in a panicked fashion. By the time Xiaominsu gets in, he's been stunned, he's been pushed back, Immortality Field come out, and he can't get results with it. But they do have an ace up their sleeve. Haxal has this Blizzard available, and like I mentioned earlier, well, there's a Halt plus Blizzard. They can stall up Architect, they can freeze him up, get rid of him, and once he's gone, yeah, there's just not much that can be done here. Titans will eventually clean this one up, and Xiaominsu even can just continue doing this loop that he seems to love ever so much. Rascal even commits a Blizzard of his own to try and break back in, but he's just on his own at this point. There's so many defensive cooldowns, so many abilities that can stop him up. Rascal going to go down. Shock realize that they're in a spot of trouble right now. They have to swap everything up. Architect goes out onto the Doomfist. Oh dearie me, doesn't go great, but hey, it's Doomfist. It doesn't matter. It does matter. He does end up going down. One more fight left in it. Shock in a lot of trouble. What do? They swap to the Pharmacy. This is the beauty of having a player like Rascal who can play so many different heroes. Titans have no good options to deal with this. It's all on Twilight's shoulders. And as an Ana, you don't really want to be the sole person responsible for dealing with the Pharmacy. You got other things to do. Xiaominsu goes into the backline, very greedily tries to go for a Death Blossom. Enemy team just deals with it, no problem. They've got so many cooldowns to handle it. Choi Herman gets a beauty of an ult. Absolutely incredible play out of Choi Herman throughout this entire series, and as a result, the Shock just start cleaning up this Pharmacy. Too much to deal with, constantly doing damage in the back line, constantly causing problems, and Rascal and Moth can just make their way onto the point and take it. And well, that is it from the Overwatch League for this year until it comes back in 2020. We got the World Cup coming up next, and hopefully you guys are absurdly excited for that like I am. I can't wait for the World Cup. I honestly prefer it to the Overwatch League myself. I just find it really compelling and really exciting. So I'm so hyped about that, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the Overwatch League overall. I just find it very important to have almost something to aspire to see highest level play and to try and understand what makes a player become, you know, not only good but great, and what makes a player become the highest level possible. What does Overwatch look like at its peak, and how can we try and achieve that ourselves? How can we achieve that level of play? And of course, some of it comes down to team play. The Shock players a beautiful team, as a well-oiled machine. They have plans for everything. They know exactly what they want to do at any given time, and we can't do that on the ladder. But we can at least take bits and pieces from it. We can at least glean little ideas and little realizations on, oh, hey, maybe this works. Oh, hey, look how they're defending against this. Look how they're positioning against this threat. We need to try and find ways to emulate that ourselves. Otherwise, I've been Josh, it's one word to many, and I'll see you next time as Sty, I'm sure, does his outro. Doodaloo.
Thank you, Josh. That was a ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous game. The Shock, undeniably the best team in the league. They deserve to win. It's beautiful. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, remember to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell when you sub so you get all of the video alerts and all that good stuff. And remember, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @Stylosa, and it's also @Stylosa on Instagram. And I'll catch you guys on the next one as we move onwards to the Overwatch World Cup. It's going to be beautiful. Oh, yeah.